I was scared, but I thought that Chris would stand up to our parents to protect me and our baby, but I was wrong. When Chris told his mom I was pregnant, she proceeded to tell me I was too young to be a good mother, and if I gave birth, they would get custody of the baby, and I would never see it again, and that I needed to get an abortion before it got too big to abort. My dad and I had always been close, and after my parents' divorce, it was just he and I living in the house. I didn't want to lose my dad's love and respect, and with everyone around me saying I was too young, that abortion was the best choice for me, I agreed to have the abortion. When Chris drove me down to the Northern Illinois Women's Center in Rockford, he almost drove past it because it looked nothing like a medical facility. Instead, it was an old school building, which seemed sickly ironic. After sitting in the waiting room for what felt like an eternity, a nurse called us back for a pre-procedure counseling session, which consisted of an ultrasound that they wouldn't allow me to see, and a lot of scare tactics about how it could be a tubal pregnancy which could kill me, or because I was so young and small I could die giving birth. It was like she was trying to convince me to have the abortion instead of looking out for my best interest. Then it was time. As I was laying on the table after being numbed, I waited for the doctor to come in. I heard a girl screaming in another room. When the doctor came in, he looked angry that I had heard the other girl screaming, and he quickly began getting ready to perform my abortion. I asked him if we could wait a minute because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this, and he said very sharply and coldly, "Well, it's too late now." I've often thought about that moment. If I had been stronger and demanded more time, would my baby be here today? I dared to ask just one more question if it was going to hurt, and he snapped back, "It's going to hurt a hell of a lot more giving birth." I kept thinking if I asked more questions, if he saw doubt in me, he would see that I didn't want this and stop. But it became clear to me very quickly that he was going to do this abortion whether I wanted it or not. I felt so helpless and forced into something I didn't want to do. I felt so violated and horrified. I felt like I had been raped. I got dressed as fast as I could to get out of there, but before I could leave the room, the doctor came in with a small glass dish and told me he wanted to show me something. He began poking at something in the dish and said, "See, it doesn't even look like a baby." It was as if he was trying to punish me for having doubts by showing me this. My baby's life ended just before Easter at 8 weeks gestation. She had 2 arms, 2 legs, a face, and a beating heart. I named my baby Natalie. I thought she at least deserved a name. After the abortion, Chris dropped me off at home. I tried to watch TV, but daytime television is filled with images of babies and children, so I had to shut it off. I envisioned my baby splashing in the bathtub or playing on the living room floor. Everything made me think of her. I wanted to die. I cried and slept a lot. My grades plummeted because I just didn't care about having a future. I contemplated suicide on several occasions, but was too afraid to go through with it. During the years after the abortion, I had various symptoms of post-abortion syndrome. I used to have reoccurring nightmares about dismembered corpses of babies and children and babies crying. I became overly concerned with always having a boyfriend and secretly hoped I would accidentally get pregnant again to somehow bring back the baby that I had murdered. If I were driving anywhere near the area of town where the abortion clinic was, or another part of town that looked similar, my blood pressure would skyrocket, I would tense up, and my palms would get clammy. I became a very angry, cynical person and cried about everything. I had gone my entire life seemingly without God. I had no idea who Jesus really was or what he had done for me on the cross. But God used a good friend of mine in some pretty undeniable supernatural circumstances to help me see that he was real, that he loved me and sent his son Jesus to die for my sins, including the sin of abortion, and that I could put my trust in him fully. I'm now married to a wonderful man. We have 2 beautiful little boys together, ages 4 and 2, and a baby girl due at the beginning of February. God in his great mercy reached down into my situation and saved me from myself, and there are no words for how eternally grateful I am. But I've had problems with all of my pregnancies since the abortion, which may or may not be attributed to the abortion. I had bleeding at 5 weeks with my first son, was placed on strict bed rest with my second son, and could have lost him due to a placental abruption involving a large blood clot that was lodged behind the placenta. I had an early miscarriage at 5 weeks gestation in February of this year. That baby's name is Charlie, and have had problems with bleeding and a large blood clot at the beginning of my current pregnancy. I wish more than anything that I'd given baby Natalie life. Any difficulties of having to be pregnant as a teenager, being a teen mom, or having my child raised by another loving family would have been worth it. At least she would be alive. At least I would know she's safe and happy and experiencing life instead of being thrown away like garbage. No respect for her humanity, no gravestone to memorialize that she ever even existed. I have to tell my story so that other girls like me will know the truth about abortion, what it will do to their baby, what it will do to their own lives. I'm silent no more because I can't be quiet about this. It's time to speak out and tear the mask off the lie of abortion.